Right, I'm recording all this in portrait, so apologies, it's just the best way that the quality works with the iPhone that I'm filming. So the kit will come like this, box, the sticker might vary on it. This is before I've created this video, the new ones I'm planning to just have a QR code on them. And then all the items in the box. The kit itself, the box, or a unit inside the box will be in a sort of mailer bag, so just take that out. You just need to check that the serial number sticker, so this one ends in 1009, is the same as the one that's on the box, so 1009. If there are any issues with those two numbers not matching up, don't do anything, please message me. I do my best to make sure that they're all correct. There's just a lot of these, all different vehicle models, etc. So yeah, so we've got the shipping box, that's irrelevant. Got the box itself, a pin on one side, 4 plugs on the other. Got 2 cables that look the same, but one is an in and one's an out. We've got a little Wi-Fi antenna, an OBD plug, an extension plug, and the main loom itself. So little antenna, fairly self-explanatory. This will just screw into there. I can't do it properly with one hand, I'm afraid. And then we've basically, it's pretty simple, to be honest with you. We've got some toggle switches on it. Don't touch any of those, they're not needed. Basically, if you buy this as a generic kit, you'll have to toggle the features on the vehicle with a cross-reference grid, because I've preloaded the CAN data on those. And then we take the LIN off the car, there's none of that to worry about. And if you don't get those right and you buy a generic one, you'll have all sorts of problems. So pretty simple. So this loom here, if you've got a reverse camera, you're going to plug into the yellows. Basically, if you want to add things like a microphone, you can add an additional one. I don't know why you would. And you can have a USB if you want it wired. If you're not fitting a reverse camera and you don't want it wired, don't bother fit this. You're not gaining anything from it. I personally don't have it fitted on my vehicle because I have factory cameras. I don't run it wired, so that can be disregarded. If you want to run it wired, etc., then that's absolutely fine. It goes into video USB. But it's self-explanatory. The purple slot, one's a male, one's a female, so it can only go one way. And then the sort of turquoisey blue goes into the blue. It will only go one way. You can't mess those up. So that's that. The other loom, which is the larger one, which I'll unwrap outside when we go to the vehicle. It's basically got one big square plug female, one big square plug male, a sort of beige-y sort of plug, a black one, and then a white one. The white one is the one that goes into the box where it says CAN power. And then effectively we're putting the big square one in line to the radio. And then this one's going into the climate panel to take the CAN data. Now there is also on here, if I can find it, apologies. Here we are. So there's this little plug here, which is OBD CAN. So don't get scared by this point. So this here goes into the OBD port, which is the diagnostic port. So we basically plug this in and then we connect it across. It doesn't have to be tucked into the dash. This is just once. So we plug this in, plug it into the loom before we put everything back. That little plug there goes onto that little plug there. We turn the car on, we wait 10 seconds, and basically the boxes are in open configuration. So the LIN data will automatically get taken from the vehicle through the OBD port to the unit, and that's it. And then we're going to unplug this and we're going to bin this. We never need this again, it's pointless. The box is then locked to the vehicle. They're all VIN locked or VIN registered as such. So we don't need that. So then effectively behind the dash is all we're going to have is video going in, video going out, power, box, Wi-Fi signal. Simple as that. So yeah, that's the kit on how it lays out. Obviously I'll pop out to the car now and show you. Don't plug anything in before you go out. We'll do one bit at a time. We'll basically put this loom in first, and then we'll put this one in, and then we'll put this one in, and then it's just the 3 connections. Obviously we'll need this just one time. If you want to keep this, you can keep it. You will never find another use for it, so I'm afraid bin it. And then obviously we add this one in after. If you've got the rear camera, I'll talk through that at the end, which you plug into the yellows. And if you want to add a USB, just obviously pop in a USB to USB-C or Lightning, whatever, and then you can run that to wherever you want it in the vehicle. Right, so let's get it fitted. So apologies, a bit jumpy through the video, cutting it up. So first things first, just to make your life easier, if you've got loads of shit in the glove box, just empty it out. Everything that we're going to remove panel-wise, there's only a few little panels. Back seats, pop them in the boot, just make life a little bit easier. Yeah, put your passenger seat all the way back, make life a bit easier. Don't have to do these things, it's just to make life a lot easier. So what we're going to do is I'll unlock the car first and then we'll go from there. Right, car unlocked, make life a bit easier. So in simple terms is all we're going to do. We're going to pop the climate panel out, which the can connects to. No tools for that at all, you can do that with your hands quite easily. We're going to pop this cover off, no tools for that. Just on some clips. We got the panel underneath with the light in it, a couple screws on that, nice and easy, and then we're going to drop the glove box out, a couple of torque screws on that. When this panel will come out of the way, we'll pop that in the back, we'll pop this panel in the back. That's just tiny, we just pop that on the dash, and then this is still going to be plugged in and you can just sort of let it sit. So that's the process to follow. So we'll start with the glove box and go from there. As I said, I'm going to empty the stuff out of it just to make life a little bit easier, saves it falling out on the floor. So we'll start with the cover on the end. There's no screws on this. Honestly, if you can get your fingers under it and pull it out, it's on just a couple of push fits. The best trim tool you've got is your hands. You won't damage anything with your hands, but it's nice and flexible, so just off the end, and then when we put it back in, it's just opposite. So pop that in the back and then onto the glove box. So screws to remove, we have in these little square boxes 1, 2, 3. These are a Torx T20, little star pointy shaped one. If they're not a T20, someone's removed them before and changed them. I've got 2 out so far. So little sort of dome head pan screws. So I'm just going to take this one out and then it will drop down. I've obviously taken these 2 out already. There is a light in it on most models, don't worry about that for the minute. So yeah, so take the screw out and then we'll go from there. So 3 screws are out, 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to pop it off on this little ledge. I've got a little torch shut up here, but I don't really need it. So then this panel is going to drop down nice and easily. Pull it away a bit. We've got the light unit, pinch on either side, and that will unplug. Don't worry about no faults or anything will come on for that. So basically, if you see at the back, it's sort of hooked on a little prong. So we'll put that out the way, and then we'll remove the glove box. So open the glove box, T20 again. If the light can pick it up, we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4. And on the bottom of the glove box, we've got these sort of like little cutout holes. There's one in there, and there's one in there. In all honesty, if you do the bottom ones first, it will sort of drop this way, the glove box. It will make your life probably a bit easier, because if you take these out, it will just on you. So yeah, we'll get those ones out, and then we'll go from there. So we've got our 4 out the top, our 2 out the bottom. Put them all here. All the screws are the same that we've taken out. That's all the screws that we're going to take out. So don't worry about getting them mixed up. It's not that important as of where they've come from. And then basically we just pull down on the end here. As you can see, the glove box has come away. Give it a little wiggle, and then the glove box will drop out like so. So glove box is out. This is our 5F radio unit. We're going to just be unplugging a few things on there. It's going to hang down on a can loom. There's not a lot of weight to it. It's nothing to be concerned about. There's no actual stress on either wires. So we're going to be unplugging this one of these ones. But first we'll get the climate panel out, run the loom, and then we will go forward from that. You can, sorry, just unplug the glove box light just to make it easier. So now it's obviously a lot more accessible. So just a quick thing to note is, if you see there's this big square here, these 2 are empty. Now if you have Dyna Audio, these 2 will have a plug in them. Now I will come to the stage in a minute to explain, but if you have Dyna Audio, you basically need to remove these 2 plugs from this when we've unplugged it and move it across to the new one. It's just because the sort of loom doesn't include Dyna Audio because it's fibre optic, so you just have to jump these across, but I'll explain that a bit better in a minute. Next we're just going to jump in the driver's seat, make this a bit easier to get that climate panel out the way. So we're in the driver's seat, start the car, pop it into neutral, just moves the selector back, just gives you a bit more space here. We need to remove this little gloss black panel around the climate control. It's different on the pre-facelift and the facelift. I don't know why the clips they use. I don't know why. It's exactly the same panel, so the process is the same. Open glove box a bit, pop your hand in, and then just under the corner, and then just walk your way along the panel so the bottom's off, and then get your fingers in there, grip it from the top. Same process, equal from each sides, and there we are. And then it's sort of on these push fit clips. Pretty straightforward. Next thing is to remove the climate panel. Again, it's just pushed in, there's no screws. I'm just going to do this off camera because it's quite awkward to do with one hand. So the easiest way to do it is quite awkward. Get both hands under it and just pull it out nice and square. Don't pull on the knobs, you'll pull them out. And it's just on awkward push fits, but give it a wriggle side to side, he says, and it will come out the dash. So it's out. You basically got to get these little metal clips past these bits. So the squarer you do it, the more space you've got either side to do it. So you want to do it nice and square. So we want to plug in to this browny sort of tan plug. The problem is this plug tucks over it. So we're going to unplug this one and then unplug this one, just so we can access it, if that makes sense. You could probably struggle around it, but it's just not worth making life harder. So we'll unplug this one just by pushing the tab down and sliding it out, and then we'll unplug the tan one by doing the exact same process. So like I just said, finger, or you can pop a little flat screwdriver, push the little tang down, and then they'll unplug. And this one's we're plugging in line 2. This is our can. So as far as disassembly, that's it. Is it easy? Is it hard? I've been in the trade all my life. To me, it's nothing, but obviously to some sort of people, it's harder. There's not really much you can get wrong. There's not really much you can break with it. You might, if you really sort of struggled, you might break one of these clips, but there's so many on there. And it's a very strong trim, to be honest with you, compared to some of the things I've worked on. So basically, all we're going to do is we're going to get the main loom now, pass it sort of in through here and up here to plug into this one, plug it in line, plug this back together, plug in line to that, and that's it really. So we'll get the loom and we'll talk you through that. I'm back inside just to show us a bit easier because it's raining. So we've got our big square one that we were talking about. This is called our quad lock, and then it sort of splits off into a Y. So what I just said about the climate panel, this one, so that tan one I said we're plugging in line, so we can plug the original car tan coloured one into there, or beige one, and then this one goes to the back of the climate panel, and as you can see, it's just sort of patching in line and takes the data they need. So that's what we're going to do with that. That one's going to go in line to the radio that I said about. So I said about those 2 that you've got to remove if you've got dyno audio. So you're going to remove them from the original loom. There's just 2 little clips here if you've got them, and then plug it into this part, which will go into the back of the radio. The one that is currently in the back of the radio will be plugging into this side. So again, as you can see, we're sort of patching into the data. And then we've got this one here. So these are all labelled. So mic out, don't need to worry about that. Car's got a factory mic. I would leave the cap on it, by the way. Just stops any interference. And then we've got the white plug, which is going to go into the box itself. And then we don't need to worry about this noise loop, that's fine. And then this green one we'll be referring to later. This is OBD can. So this plug we only use once when we turn the kit on. But we'll come back to that and address that in a minute. So first is what we're going to do is we're going to, the most difficult part, which is past this, well, it's not really difficult, but pass that up the side of the dash to go into the climate control panel. And then we'll plug this one in, and then we'll plug this into the box. Off we go. So I've passed that loom that I said about, and we've just gone to the sort of, you can pass it in with like your left hand in one side and then right hand out in the other, to pass that through. So I'm just going to jump down driver's seat and plug that in. Right, I've confused myself because facelift, this is different. But basically, the 3 plugs on the back of this are all different shapes and sizes. Only one of them will fit in here. So on the pre-facelift, it's red. I've got my personal car is a very, very late model, so it's tan. So basically, I've plugged the original one back into the car, the tan one, sorry. So the red one, only one of these will fit in here. They're all different shapes and sizes. That one into there, and then this new tan extension we're going to plug into the back of this climate panel. So new loom's in there, red one goes into there. We're just patching in line. I've probably made this sound way more confusing than it is. I'm no TV presenter. So that's that. That's as simple as that. All the looms are all wrapped up in tape. There's nothing to rattle or vibrate. So I'm now just going to tuck that in there. There's so much space behind these, it's lovely. And then we're just going to put it back together the same way we took it apart, which is basically just line it up and push it in. So she's all pushed in now. We haven't unplugged it, but if you want to turn it on to check it works, fine. And then trim again, just line them up, and then just seat it home, get it all clipped in, all nice the way around. And there we are, make sure that works. I mean, it shouldn't not, and make it sound way more confusing than it needs to be. So that part's done, and now we're just going to plug into the back of that, plug the patch lead as such for the image, and then we're pretty much done. So, quad lock connector on this car, for some reason they do them upside down. There's a little tab at the bottom to press in, basically, and the hook will unhook. So that, and then there we are. So this is sort of like an anchor, so when it locks onto a pin. So we've got that unplugged, got our loom up we were on about, that's going to go into the radio, and then that's going to go into that, so we're patching in line. Like I said, if you've got 2 plugs here, you're going to need to pop those out and pop them into the back of the radio again, if that makes sense, for dyno audio. It's just because it's difficult to, and it's very expensive to get fibre optic cables in an aftermarket loom that aren't needed when most of the time kind of thing. So we're just going to do that now, and then we'll go on to the next. So new one in, and then basically when the lock, it will sort of lock in, and then we've got the original car loom in that. So we're patched into the 5F data, patched into the can, and then this will go into the box. So all we need to do now is to patch into the image that will display on the screen, and we are done. So the box, we have two cables left, or three. Pink into pink, blue into blue. They can only go one round, the male and female. Pretty self-explanatory. So on the unit itself, we've got a grey plug, which is to the left of the yellow. Unplug that one, and the grey is going to plug into the purple, and then the blue is going to go into the radio, and that's how we're patching in to the image. Grey into purple, which was then into the box, and then it comes out on the blue, and then back into the radio. Now, radio's on, won't work because we're patched into the LVDS. So our plug from our original loom, we are now going to plug into the unit, bosh, like that, clips in, got our Wi-Fi antenna screwed in, and now we have an image. So the box now won't work because we don't have any CAN data. Well, it will work, but it will be very jumpy around. So the next process now is to get the CAN data transferred onto the box. Now, for that, we have a loom that plugs into the OBD port, which is the vehicle diagnostic port. So I'm going to do this from the driver's seat because it's much easier, and then we'll go from there. So this goes into the OBD port, which on the Touareg is under here. It's a purple port, and it will just push in once. It'll only go one way round, so don't worry. Okay, now, and then don't worry, this is just a one-time thing. This goes in the bin after, unless you can find a use for it. And now we're going to plug this into that green one that was on about, that's called OBD CAN. We're plugged in across the dash here. We only need this one time, so don't stress too much to understand. And then we're just we're going to plug in, and we're just going to start the car, and we're going to leave the car for maybe about a minute just to idle. And then in the background, all the CAN data is now being transferred across. So after around a minute of waiting, we won't know it's done. It'll work when it's done. That's how we know. So we're gonna go on to whatever we're on. For example, we're gonna press media once to take us to the media, and then we're just gonna press and hold the media button, and then we'll hear a click from the unit, and wha-bang. So now we can disconnect this little plug. There we are. Doesn't need it anymore. As much as we're not a throwaway society anymore, or we're trying to save the planet, I'm afraid there is no use for this. Good luck if you can find one, and I wish you well, but I'm afraid that now can go in the bin. If you want to keep it, but I 100% promise you will never find a use for it. So this one as well just sits in the box. Now, in all honesty, if you really want to tape all this up and make it tidy, then crack on, be my guest. Nothing's going to rattle. There's so much sponge in there. It'll be under the airbag. There's really no worries about it. Basically, all you need to do is now get that back in there as best as you can. So now that obviously the unit works, I'll show you guys this first. So to basically enter and exit the system, we press the menu button. You will hear a very faint click from the box, which is it basically powering up, and that will just sit under the dash and chill. So there's a few things we want to do first. So basically these boxes will always come, because I'm afraid there's more cars in the world that are left-hand drive for CarPlay. It's a pet peeve of mine. We need to get it set up for right-hand drive. If that doesn't bother you, then fine, but it's does my gears in, so we're just going to sort that out now. So in order to get that set up for right-hand drive, pretty straightforward. From the home screen here, we're going to go setup, we're going to go system, and we're going to turn this all off at the minute, right-hand drive, and basically we'll see this column here. This is going to jump, so turn it on. We're now set up for right-hand drive. If you want to mess around with any of your settings in here, you won't need to, but you can do. So I'm just going to quickly explain about a reverse camera. So if you haven't got a reverse camera, you can skip this part, and if you do, then watch closely. So reverse camera, very simple. The additional loom, so basically you can run this as well if you want to run it wired, the system. Some people do. Personally, I don't bother. We're going to plug this one into the box. There's only one plug left, that fits in there. And then the reverse camera is going to go into the yellows. Now, we'll briefly touch base, but to fit the reverse camera, you basically need to get from the boot handle to the passenger footwell. The best way is to run the trip along the plastic trim into the boot, and then when you get into the boot, up the top, headlining out the grommets, which are at the top, and into the boot handle, but I'll touch on those in a minute when we go to the back. And then when you've got your camera set up or plugged in, you can test it before you go into a system again. pardon me, we're going to go down to car setting, reverse settings, and we'll just make sure here. So if you want parking lines turned on, if you want your radar, if you want the dip on the back, if you want a delay, some people do, for example, and then front camera, we're obviously going to turn it off, we don't have that. If you've got a original factory camera, you don't need to do any of this, it's just for the aftermarket one you're adding. So that's all done in there, and then you will know when it's got set up because you'll go into camera and the system will then display the camera. Obviously this one doesn't have one, so it will say no signal. So I'll briefly touch base on how we get that fitted when we get back out. Now, connecting your phone, you only have to do one time. So your phone is going to be connected to the factory radio via Bluetooth. If you haven't done this, because you've maybe just bought the car, menu, source, Bluetooth, and then connect your phone. I'm not going to connect my phone, it's not my car. And then once we're in the system, we're going to connect to the Wi-Fi signal. So what you're going to do is you're going to go into your phone, go Wi-Fi, search for the networks, and it should come up like BT dash and then 4 numbers. So I'm just going to connect to that now, and when you connect, it will maybe ask you for a password. It might not ask you for a password. So in order to find our Wi-Fi password, which is going to be 66668888, don't ask me why, it always is. Setup on the device, Wi-Fi. This will be the Wi-Fi network to connect to, the name of it, and then the password, which will be 66668888. So now we are just going to connect to that Wi-Fi network to get the phone connected via Bluetooth, via the Wi-Fi. So I'm now connected to the Wi-Fi on the vehicle. If it won't connect to the Wi-Fi, I won't find the signal. This antenna is not in, or it's not screwed in tight. It does need to be nice and tight, because this is what admits the signal. And then we'll connect to the Wi-Fi.
So I've had to add this voice recording after, because me being the idiot I am, connected my phone to the car via the Bluetooth, and therefore it went through the car system and didn't use the microphone on the phone. So basically, once you've connected to the Wi-Fi, just go into the settings on your phone into Bluetooth, and you just need to connect to the Bluetooth on the box. You've only got to do this one time. The name for the Bluetooth will be exactly the same as what the Wi-Fi was, and then it will just ask you, because your CarPlay then will initiate, and it will just ask you if you want to like sync the contacts and just trust access between the phone. So yeah, just make sure you do that, and then it'll automatically pair up. As you can see in the video, all the display will then work, and that's pretty much it as far as getting it working. Then you can change the settings in the system to like light and dark preferences and things like that. And then it's just a case of getting the unit back above the glove box, getting it all tucked away under the dash. The only additional steps on from this are to install, if you've got a reverse camera, if you're adding a reverse camera, not if you've got a factory one, to add those in. So jump scare, back of the car now. So to do this, it's quite simple. Open the boot lid. You need to take off this trim here that I'm pointing at. And to do that, we're going to take out the warning triangle. There's some screws in there, Torx ones again, and some in the handle. They're the same Torx screws that are in the front, the T20s. Pull that trim down, and then the actual handle is just held in where the factory one is, just 2 10mm nuts on that. And then effectively, we just want to run it down the side of the boot lid there, through the grommet, and get the cable to the front of the car. It's not a particularly hard job. It's just something that does require some time and some patience to do. And then the easiest route that I found, well, the easiest route really is to basically just tuck it under the floor trims down the side there, and then down up the side, and then into the back of the glove box. And then the additional loom that it plugs into, this one here, it just plugs into the yellows on there, and away you go. It's just a job. If you just make sure it's a nice dry day, you've got a bit of patience, and it's doable, really. It is going to require a little bit more skill, but yeah. So this is the unit now all done and fitted. As you can see, it's all working fine.
In, 4
and
in
then
the top, 2 in the
in
bottom.
this process now, we've just got to put the glove box back in. It's the reverse process of what's been
it's got the 5F unit in
what
it.
we've done.
So I'm just going
just put the
to
screws
put
back
the
in,
panel
and
on the
then put
bottom.
a bit under the bottom. Don't forget to plug your light in, and then panel on the end of the dash.
So we are all done. Glove box all back together. Like I said, I've probably made it sound very confusing. But effectively, we're just taking that out, plugging a few plugs in, and that's simple. There's really nothing you can mess up. It's pretty strong bits. There's nothing really delicate on the car. So when it's all done, we will start it up. Now the box will, after a few times, get used to the CAN signal of automatically kicking in. But if not, you can hold the media button down, come in. If it detects there's a phone in the vehicle that's previously connected,
back in the room at this point. Again, my phone's connected to the car, so the audio's dropped out from the video because it will automatically go to the car. So yeah, basically every time you get in the car, the system will automatically load up, and away you go, basically. If anybody does have any questions, then drop me a message, but it's pretty self-explanatory to use. Just see I'm using the exit there to go back to sort of the menu on the system if you want to add a USB through the glove box. Obviously doing this at the time, I wasn't the best at multitasking, so I do apologise, but you can just jump into CarPlay. The more you use it, the more you'll understand how the system works. It's very user-friendly, and there's a lot of stuff out there on the net regarding CarPlay, and the answers that you'll need, really. There is the possibility to do screen mirroring and more features, but in all honesty, it's just designed as a CarPlay unit. Just stick to using it for that, and obviously hold the media button like I'm showing in the video. I did record this a couple of days ago, so I can't remember exactly what I was saying, but basically hold the media button, jumps into the system, and then you can tap on the CarPlay there to load it up. So yeah, any questions or anything, please let me know, and I will get them answered. But I'm pretty sure this covers everything. I'm not going to call this instructions because I feel like it's me waffling. I'm going to refer to it as more of a guide. But I have, my plan with the install when I did it was to do it in the most basic way possible. I did it on a driveway with a screwdriver set, and that's it. And I even did it in the rain. It's like most people that are going to install this are going to do it not in like a fancy workshop, no fancy tools. It's just going to be on a driveway with some basic tools. It's probably going to be raining in the UK or somewhere. So I just wanted to make it as easy to use as is possible. At least then everyone to sort of understand it's nothing difficult, because it's a bit more relatable. So yeah, any questions, let me know. The Gen 3 kits will be shipping now, so that's what you'll be getting.